Hi, welcome to our next systems of equation video. This is our second video on finding the equation of a parabola. Right, so we know a parabola is a graph that has the following equations. We can either have two forms. Y is equal to number A times two brackets, x plus b and x plus c. Or from our last video we watched, we could have the form y is equal to a number A times one bracket all squared plus c. Now we looked at the second form in our first video, so guess what? We're looking at the first form, this form here in this video. So we're going to use the form y is equal to a times x plus b bracket times x plus c. Right, well the values of b and c represent the points where the graph crosses over the x-axis. These are called roots, a very old-fashioned word, roots or x-intercepts, where the graph passes through the x-axis. Now, key thing to remember, and we'll talk about this during the video, brackets means opposite. So if we have a root that passes through at plus 5, like in the example here, one of the brackets is going to be x minus 5. Okay, have a look at these three graphs here. Can you spot something interesting about them? They all happen to pass through the same roots or same x-intercepts. They all pass through -2 and +3. But what's different about the graph is they have a different widths. Some are a little bit more narrow, some are a little bit more wider. And this leads us on to the value of A. A represents the steepness, the width of the graph. We can change the shape of the graph. Now, when A is greater than 0, positive, we get what I like to call a smiley face, like on the left-hand side. But when A is less than 0, or negative, we have what I call a sad face, which is on the right-hand side, the diagram on the right. Okay, let's get into our example for the video. We're going to find the equation of this parabola. So the very first thing we're going to do is put it into this form, y is equal to a times x plus b times x plus c. Now the values of b and c are our roots, where we cross over the x-axis. Keep in mind we're doing opposite for brackets. So we're going to write down y is equal to a number a times x plus 2. That's because one of the roots is at -2. And the second bracket is x minus 5. That's because the second root is at +5. So when we put them inside brackets, please do the opposite. Right, now we're going to find this value of A. So here's what we're going to do is we're going to pick another point on the graph. Now you could find another point other than 6, 3. You are welcome to use it. But I'm going to use the point 6, 3 because I know the graph passes through the point 6, 3. Right, so that means every time I see an x, I'm going to replace it with 6, and every time I see a y, I'm going to replace it with 3. Coming up here, when I see an x, we're going to chuck in a 6, and when I see a y, I'm going to chuck in a 3. So we're going to get 3, that's what y is equal to the number a times first bracket 6 plus 2 times the second bracket 6 minus 5. Right, let's work out the bracket. 6 plus 2 is 8, and 6 minus 5 is 1. Now, when we have two brackets side by side, we times them. So 8 times 1 is 8. So we end up with 3 is equal to 8 times that number 8. All we now need to do is divide everything by 8 to get A is equal to 3 over 8, 3/8. And if you prefer to work in decimals, 0.375. So we've worked out what A is. We can now put it all together and write down the equation of our parabola. Y is equal to 3/8, which is A, times the first bracket, which is x plus 2, times the second bracket, which is x minus 5. Cool. Thanks so much for watching.